Hey everyone, so I'm back again with another video. This time around I have some more toy pickups to share with you guys. Uh, just to get straight to the point, I went to the Value Village that I typically go to, and I happened to come across a whole bunch of various action figures that were being put out right when I got there. The employee working there was very nice and actually told me that she was bringing out even more stuff. So I hung out there for a little bit longer, and I found basically a lot of really good stuff. I'm assuming that most of this might have been donated by a single person. I don't really see all this stuff piling up from many different donations. Maybe an item or two here or there, but most of the stuff I'm assuming came from the same person. It's just too good. Now there was a lot of other stuff there that I would have liked to get as well, but the condition just wasn't there for some of the other stuff. Um, and also, if I were to buy everything, it would have just cost way too much. If I remember correctly, it would have cost me something like $60 to $70 for all the stuff that I saw there. Definitely a lot more figures in some of these sets. But this is basically the stuff that I decided on, and for all this stuff, I paid just $20. They were set up in bags. Some of them were $2.99 each, and some were $3.99. And the majority of the bags that I got were $3.99, $2.99 each, with two of them being $3.99. And basically, this is the stuff that I got. So first up, I put this stuff in a bag myself, in just a Ziploc bag. It's a whole bunch of like various weapons and stuff like that. I thought maybe some of this stuff might go with some of these figures, so I went ahead and just grabbed this bag as well. And at the end of the day, I was only able to match up two accessories to one of these figures. So the rest of that stuff is just gonna sit in the bag. First sort of set of stuff here is two figures from Star Trek: The Next Generation. The first one here is Geordi LaForge. He is missing his visor, and his sort of paint job is fading, but uh, pretty much I think I got him just because he was in a bag with other stuff that I got here. Same with this guy here. He is just your generic Borg, the way that they look in their first appearance on the Next Generation. Pretty much after this appearance, they changed to what they are more recognized as. This was kind of a weird appearance for them initially. Let me just get those out of the way. Move on to the next stuff here. Next is this Terminator action figure. This one here is made by Kenner, and it came out in 1991, so it's supposed to coincide with the second movie, if I remember correctly. And it's this weird exoskeleton of the T-800, and he has this sort of like elastic waist thing going on. So he has like this weird action feature where you can like twist him to the side and then he like swings around. But I don't quite know what that would have been used for, but it's still interesting enough. Next figure, I could have included this in another video series that I do. I do Digimon pickups as well in their own specific video, but this is just one little figure, so I might as well just show it here. It is a Wormmon. He's the partner Digimon of Ken from Season 2, and Ken is also the Digimon Emperor. But yeah, it was nice enough to find something else, Digimon. And weird enough with this, I actually was just thinking about this character the other day, and then I happened to come across one in the store today. So that was uh, really strange and lucky, I suppose, as well. So that's a Wormmon right there. The next two figures here are both Transformers. They're both from the Beast Wars series, based on the TV show, or the figures were based on the TV show. I forget if the figures came before the show, or if the show came before the figures, or if they were both in tandem with each other, but whatever. This guy here, his name is Clawjaw, if I remember correctly. He's a squid. And then there's also this frog guy, but I forget what his name is. If anybody knows what his name is, please just leave it in the comment section below. As with any of this stuff, if I leave out a name or anything like that, or if you have any more information to share on any of these figures, please just let me know in the comment section below. The next set of figures I'm going to show you guys are all Marvel action figures. And honestly, this was the bulk of the stuff that they had at the Value Village that day. A lot of it was various X-Men and other Marvel characters. But a lot of them were in just terrible condition, missing a lot of pieces, or just really, really, really faded or scuffed up or damaged in some kind of way. These ones here, I got some of them specifically because I wanted them, and other ones I got simply because they came with other toys. They were all sort of like packaged up, all mixed around. So the first one is this guy here. I don't quite know what his name is. And he has an action feature that actually, if you press the button on his arm there, his hand just shoots out further. But his other hand here has broken off. And the person who had this originally even tried super gluing it back together, but it clearly didn't hold. So I'll see what I'll do with that there. Let me just get this to the side. The next figure is this purple and orange guy. Again, don't know who this is, but please share with me if you do know. And the next guy has a pretty interesting action feature. Pretty much if you squeeze his legs together, his arms sort of move back, and his mouth opens up as well. That's him right there. If you guys know, again, who that is, please just let me know. The last of these X-Men action figures is actually the one I was most familiar with. He is even in Marvel vs. Capcom. This figure here is called, well, the character that this figure is based on is the Sentinel. And that's him basically. He has this big sort of wrecking ball hand as well. But the interesting thing about this figure is that his entire left arm actually comes off, just like that, and you can replace it with this other arm that luckily also was there with it. And this arm here is actually a water gun. You can just fill it up on the side there and pull this handle back and just sort of pump it. But it is a little bit stuck, but oh well, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to use it as a water gun. It was just nice to see that he had his accessory arm there as well. Moving on, this next figure, I think I know the absolute least about this here. It is missing a hand, but it was too interesting to pass up. It is a Bandai produced figure. It says it was made in 1993, but it could have been any other year, really. I'm just trying to figure out what this is, but I have no idea at all. Well, I have one very small idea that it might just be a Gundam figure, but I could be wrong about that. Basically, that's him there. I'm not too sure what direction his sort of like shoulder blade things go in. You can move them straight out. You can also flip it around like that or point them straight up. I don't know, so I just sort of left him down like that. His legs or his lower half is like really loose, but everything is pretty firmly secured in there. But yeah, that's him. If any of you recognize who that is, please just let me know in the comment section below. Now moving on to what I perceive as the more interesting stuff, the most interesting stuff out of all of these toys. Uh, this one here, I forget what his exact name is, but he is from. I'm forgetting the name of the game right now. Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. Um, I think it's supposed to be Solidus Snake. I I honestly don't really know. I haven't played Metal Gear Solid 2. I'm not really that into Metal Gear Solid. But basically, this is the figure here. He's actually really well made, very hardy. It is a McFarlane toy as well, and they do produce a lot of very good, high quality figures. This one here, I do believe it came with some kind of gun or a sword. I think it came with a sword, but I could not find that at all in any of the bags. He has these weird sort of like tentacle arms that go on his shoulders here, and it kind of reminded me of Doc Ock. But again, I haven't played the game, so I don't know really what the deal is with this guy here. But it was too nice and too well articulated to pass up, especially for just $4. The next figure here, and I promise I'm getting close to the end here, just 3 figures in total left to go. This figure here is from Fist of the North Star. It's Kenshiro, or just Ken. He is missing a lot of pieces, but what was there was in very good condition. This is him basically. He was supposed to have 2 different sort of shirt situations going on, and I believe a cape as well. And then a whole bunch of different hands, I believe, and different face, or like a different head. Basically, a whole bunch of different extra body parts and clothing options. And this one here is made by Kyoto in 1999, and it was part of like a deluxe set. Like I said, it did come with a lot of accessory pieces, but I couldn't find any of that stuff. Now, the last 2 figures that I have here, I left them for the end of this video, just because, in my opinion, they are the best figures of this set of stuff that I found, and definitely pretty nice ones as well. The first of these last 2 is Leon Kennedy as he looks in Resident Evil 2. I have kind of a problem with the design of this character. You might wonder why his sort of position is kind of slouched like this. It's because he was packaged with sort of bandages and stuff to show that he is sort of battle damaged. And he came with like a whole artillery of weapons, several different guns, but the only ones that I could find that actually went with him is the one that he's holding and this gun right here. But still more accessories than I could find for any of the other figures. This figure, I mean, his articulation is pretty good. The sculpt is pretty good. Just his face and just head overall seem kind of cheap and not too good. Let me see if I can get a good shot of it. So this looks very like plasticky and vague. But oh well, what can you do really? It's still a pretty interesting figure, and this one's made by Palisades. if I remember correctly. Yeah, Palisades, made in China though, and it is still pretty good. And I do like that he had some of his accessories with him. Now the final figure here, uh, originally sold with a stand, a couple of exchangeable hands, I believe, as well, and a bazooka type of weapon. This figure is by far the best designed out of all these figures. Very detailed, very big, and very hefty. Um, I wish that I had at least the stand that this figure came with. There's also a variant of this. I looked it up. A variant of it that was sold exclusively at EB. I don't know if that was EB at the time in the US as well. If it was like before the GameStop switch up. I don't really know the history of EB Games and GameStop all that well, but there was an exclusive version of him sold at EB as well. But this one here is the sort of standard release of this figure. It is Nemesis from Resident Evil 3, Nemesis, obviously. And he's very large. I think he's supposed to be a 9-inch figure. Not entirely certain about that, but it looks more or less right. He has only a few points of articulation. Pretty much his knees don't move, his ankles don't move, none of his fingers move. It's pretty much just wrists, and his arms have some degree of motion to them as well. But yeah, that's a really nice figure in my opinion. That's him uh, more closer up so you can get an idea of the detail on him. And I was very happy to find this for just $4. I tried looking this up online, and after a lot of effort, coming across a lot of very similar figures, I finally came across this specific one, and I saw in this condition. There was one that had sold for like $100, and I can't see why anybody would ever pay that much for any figure. But oh well, to each their own. This though is definitely just gonna go right up on my shelf and not budge from there. It's definitely a great addition to my collection, and hopefully I get around to playing Resident Evil 3 Nemesis sometime soon. I still have not played Nemesis. Anyways, that was all the toy pickups that I got. There was a ton of stuff here to show. Some X-Men figures, Capcom figures, Transformers, and some other stuff as well. As always, leave comments in the comment section below. Anything you'd like to say, comments, questions, suggestions, ideas, anything at all, and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Check out my Facebook, Twitter, and website. They're all linked in the description below, and also linked in the description below is a link to my 500 subscribers contest. And at this point, I'm very tired, and I don't remember if I said that already, so I'm just going to cut it off here and say that's it. See ya.